Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting session of Making Sense Conversations. I can't believe our week has already gone by. If you're with us last week, you remember how much fun we had, and we were talking about the trap of single income. This month, if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. We've been doing traps. We started out with the debt trap. We did single income trap. And today is a conversation that's really close to my heart, just not my heart, really close to our mission at Centonomy. And we're talking about the side hustle and the side hustle trap. So before I get going, welcome. Everybody, welcome. Hope you're having a fantastic afternoon. If you're joining us again, welcome back. Let us know where you're tuning in from. It's always so good to know where people are tuning in from. And if you're joining us for the first time, welcome to Making Sense. Who are we? We are a community of people who want to have conversations that empower people financially. Those conversations may be with our money. Those conversations may be with our business like today. Those conversations maybe just be with life. It could be with our identity, how we look at ourselves. It could be with our careers. So please do let us know where you're tuning in from. And just think about this as us in your sitting room having a conversation. We don't script the conversations. And it's really, Making Sense is really about bringing those things that are behind the scenes to in front of you that happen in your life. It's based on the principles of my book, Making Sense, and we'll be telling you where to get the book. I know a lot of you have already read the book. And if you haven't, please grab a copy and we'll give you those details at the end. So today, it's such an important conversation to be having at this time. And if you were with us last time, we talked about the single income trap. And today we are talking about the side hustle trap. And especially now, everybody is going to be, everyone has been wondering. I think one thing that has really hit people, even based on the engagement we had last time, is a single income is not sustainable, not for anybody, whether you're in business or whether you're employed. And there has been a lot of people who refer to their new business ventures as side hustles, or they say something like, I'm hustling. And let me throw an example out there at you. If you needed, let's see, a catering company, and one person told you, yes, this is my company, this is what we do, this is we can deliver. And you met somebody else who said, yeah, my side hustle is catering, or my hustle is catering. Who would you go with? I think I would go with the person who says, this is my catering business. It doesn't matter whether that business is small, it doesn't matter whether that business is running from their house, but the way we define our businesses, even for ourselves, really, really makes a huge difference in how we see the potential of that business. Last week in my Centonomy Entrepreneur class, as we were kicking off Centonomy Entrepreneur, someone was like, this is, my business is a side hustle. And people in the class challenged and said, your business is not a side hustle. You may be doing something else as you're running your business, but that doesn't stop you from thinking about your business as a proper business, starting to think about your business. How does it make money? How is it sustainable? How do you as an entrepreneur make money from that business? Who do I partner with? Can I go after the big things? And that's really why we are here today. So my story, when I entered business, I entered it through the side hustle route, as what people know as a side hustle. I was working at my job, but I started helping people out of work buy and sell shares on the stock market. But I think that I considered it a separate line of work, not a side hustle. And I think for me, and I think my colleague who's going to join us shortly has always asked me, what made the difference? And I think the true answer is, I know when you're starting out, you don't have everything in place. You don't have the money. Your vision is there, but it's not all about the vision, because sometimes you're just seeing what's in front of you. But I think I looked at it as a line of work. Whether it was a separate line of work, it could be fine, but it was actually a line of work. It was actually a way for me to progress my career, and in that, do it through a business. And that, because I did that, I set up very differently. I went and partnered with several stockbrokers, because my first business was actually buying and selling shares on the stock exchange. So I approached big stockbrokers and asked to partner with them. I think I also started going and having conversations with people who've been in business longer than me and starting to learn from them. I made some mistakes along the way. I think I took it a bit too far and started putting in some resources too quickly, like an office and things like that. But I think the thinking of that this is not for just the short term. This is not just something that's there for me to make side money. The money may start out little, but it doesn't have to be called side money. So as we just kick off, I want to welcome Waithaka Gatumia, who's my friend, my colleague, an entrepreneur in his own right. And I think he's as passionate about this conversation just like me. And I think, I know, Waithaka, you've been talking to so many SMEs in this season about the things they can do to just make their business work. And this is what we want. We believe in great businesses at Centonomy. It's not just about the size of the business, but can that business have an impact? Can it be sustainable? Can it bring you joy? Can it bring you fulfillment? And of course, in the process, also bring you wealth. So welcome, Waithaka.
Thank you so much. Okay, this is a weird position for me, just so that you know. I like to be the one asking the questions, and I'll ask more questions today, just so that you're okay with that. This is something that I've been really passionate about, because I've gone through the experience myself of starting a business, and the expectations versus the reality. And it would have been great to kind of know what I was getting into beforehand. It's a concept that I've been thinking about, Waceke. It is the whole idea of, it's like getting into a game and you don't know the rules.
Yes.
And I think that's the thing that I'm really passionate about right now, because if you can understand the rules, then you're more likely to find success in that game.
Yes.
I liken it to, imagine if you've always played soccer, football.
Yes. Yes.
And then you get thrown onto a rugby pitch. You will be disoriented. Yes. Not that you're not a good athlete, it's just simply you don't understand the environment. And I think when you've been working, that's where we get that idea of side hustle. When you've been working, it's like you've been playing football. And then now when you try and start a business, the business is playing by the rules of rugby. And there you can get hard. Not that you can't win, it's just it's a different environment. So I've been thinking about that.
Okay. Well, even when you talk about expectations and rules, I know even when I started, as much as I had the mentality that this is actually something that I want to grow my career through, I remember being hit so much, and I think many people are not aware about this, especially if you've been working, where you're right, you've been playing many times by other rules, I loved stockbroking. I loved the stock market. So I decided to go set up a business in the stock market, And I think this is what we are not prepared for this, and we're not prepared for this transition. But me loving the stock market, me loving to do the analysis on the stocks was so much different from running a stockbroking business. In fact, what I realized is the work I love to do, like being in front with the spreadsheets, watching the shares go up and down. I couldn't afford to do that because the business, first of all, fundamentally runs on the fact that clients are coming and paying you money. So if I'm there with my spreadsheets, who's looking for the customers? Sometimes we get so caught up in, and this is why the word passion has been abused about so much, What am I passionate for? Be passionate. I'm all pro passion. I teach at Centonomy because I'm passionate about it. But you have to be so committed in running a business that's around your area of passion, which for many times you'll spend a lot of your time not doing the exact activity that you're passionate about. So I found myself in offices, and those are the days of share certificates, trying to convert and help clients look for their share certificates. And I'm like, what have I signed up for? And I remember going home to have a moment with myself. I signed up for the exotic stuff. So Waithaka, do you think we get caught up as people who are starting out businesses with the exotic stuff? That it looks so exotic from the paper. You
see the area that, as you said, is of interest to you. It's my story is exactly the same. I started a filmmaking business. So what I enjoy is making films. But you see, there's a difference between making films and a filmmaking business. And that's the transition I just couldn't get. I'd worked in a media house before that. And so in the media house, my role was to make films. So I enjoyed that part. I enjoyed the, writing, scripting, talking with actors. I enjoyed, that whole thing. But that's just one part of what made the media house work. You have to be able to sell the content. You have to be able to pay the employees. You have to be able to manage the costs. And so when you're running a filmmaking business, the core part of your role as the entrepreneur is not just making the film, managing the money, ensuring you're managing the people and all the resources. And that's a massive, it's a completely different, as I said, it's a different game. It's like, and that transition for me, I feel was different. So exactly like you, and I think a lot of people say, oh, I love to bake. Good. So now you're in a kitchen, you're baking, you love it. But now you're running a business, you have to sell that cake. You have to price it. You have to collect the payment. You know what I mean? You have to deal with suppliers. You need at some point to maybe employ someone else to help you. So you're doing things that you're not used to have been doing in the thing that you loved alone. That's the hard transition, at least for me, in my experience.
And I think for me, when and I'm hearing you about understanding you can't do it alone. It was when I started this business, I was ready to be a one-man show because I love it. Even when Centonomy, at first when I started, I was like, woohoo, financial planning, me, love it, love talking to the customers. When I started the stockbroking, same thing. I even thought, yeah, I can do this alone. Maybe have someone who just does some, the messenger. I was willing to let go of messenger services, yeah. But the fact of you cannot do it alone, I think it's another area where Waithaka people are not prepared for, especially for me. And let me give you, I was not prepared even when this happened in Centonomy, and sometimes to respond to the opportunities that are out there that move you from side hustle to a business. That's when you have to sit and take stock. I cannot do this alone. I'm glad for this lesson. I was snapped out of it where there's a client who said, oh, thank you very much. We want you for training. I was like, good, finally get the job. You have to be in Nairobi and Eldoret at the same time. It was such a wake-up call. So many of you out there saying that has happened in your lives. And I've talked to many SMEs where they actually declined the opportunity. Instead of now thinking, okay, what do I do? Either it doesn't have to be a full-time hire, and this was not a full-time hire. This is when I went and asked who knows who, till I found somebody who could help me train in Eldoret while I trained in Nairobi. And I think we're dealing with, when we start something, it's so close to our chest.
That's right.
That in keeping it so close to our chest, we keep it so small.
I'm telling you, and the thing is, it's when we train in the entrepreneurship class, and you've seen this, and because I experienced this, no one else can do it like me. That's kind of that's the thought process. No one else can do it like me. And so there's because you're so passionate about it, you don't know, should I trust someone else with this? Should I be able to give them that opportunity? What I began to see, like, even now, as I've assessed my business history, working at Centonomy, working at other companies as well, is successful businesses. This is what I started seeing. It's when you are able to transfer the value that is in you into the business. So long as you are the one, like what you're saying, you are the trainer at Centonomy, you are the one with the knowledge, the passion, the ability to do it. But so long as it's in you, the business had no opportunity to grow. You couldn't train in Nairobi and Eldoret at the same time. That you couldn't split yourself. But what that opportunity, that's what I mean, I've been studying you, Waceke. That's why I came to work with you. I came to study. But when you said, okay, let me start pouring out my value, not into the business, that's when the business now had opportunity to grow. Otherwise, it's just you by yourself growing. And that's where, like my filmmaking business, I hired, photographers, I had videographers, I had editors, things like that. No problem. So they were working, but I never gave them the opportunity to also be creators. So I was still the creative force behind it. And I never saw that if I now gave this guy the chance, you know, our biggest business at that time was doing school events. So
Yes.
we had schools that we were part of. We would come and film a sports day, film a
Yes.
whatever. If I had given now my team members here, you now know, you've seen me do it enough times. You go do this one. We could have now started doing multiple, like 3 or 4 events at the same time. Giving me more time to create. But I was not willing to, you know, hand over. Who can do it like me? Who can handle the client like me? So when I saw that shift for you, I thought I was just amazing. I was like, yeah, transfer value, then it can grow.
Transfer, and I want to come back to that, but you've just made me remember something. Because my first, as people are watching and listening to Waithaka, you may be thinking he's talking about you need to have a lot of money, then you need to immediately put a team, which is not the case at all. No. So it's really about, first of all, for me, I think when I go back, Waithaka, it was transferring the training was not the first thing I did, But at first, when I was doing things, you could tell they were admin things. I don't want to be the one going and looking for share certificates. I definitely don't want to be the one doing the bookkeeping. So because as much as I know and understand money, I'm not starting this business to be an accountant. And this is, I think, another place where people get it wrong. You're an accountant. Let me use people in my profession because I have been an accountant. By then I'm qualified as an accountant. But you decide you want to go and start a project management company, a graphic design company, because you're an accountant. You decide you're also going to do the accounting for your business. Big mistakes. And I can tell you guys, for 3 years, my books were in shambles. I could not tell what was a profit, what was the loss, because I don't have time to do the accounting. I'm running the business, We're being told Eldoret, Kisumu, we are being told, and then keeping up with the financials, KRA, which is another thing SMEs get wrong, the compliance side. But Waithaka, you mentioned something so important about value. And this one I'm even going to leave to you because you've been the one who has turned all the conversations we have and really spoken about people understanding value from the get-go. Because I don't ever thought I was just running a business in the beginning. Yes, I wanted it to go somewhere, but it took me a very long time, Waithaka, to say, by the way, Waceke, what you're doing has value. Value is not just because you have 100 clients and they're paying. You have value. What you're doing from the beginning has value. It doesn't have value just because, even though it's not paying you today, it may not be paying you today, but value is being accumulated. And I think people have such a hard time understanding the concept of value, especially the founders.
Let me tell you the conversation that really shifted my thinking. We were doing an entrepreneurs chat a couple of years ago, and we had invited what's his name, Peter Nduati of Resolution. And when he was, I called him aside. Anytime I'm near entrepreneurs, I ask them questions. So I called him aside and I asked him, just tell me about how you started the business. And there was a statement that stuck with me. He said, I didn't leave employment to make less money as an entrepreneur. So I was like, okay, what does that mean? So he said, I valued myself enough so that I know I'm not getting in business just to struggle. I'm getting in business to continue to create, to generate that value. So even when he was raising, people talk about raising capital, he was raising capital to start his business. He raised enough capital to continue paying himself at the rate that he was at. So when he was talking to the investors, he was saying, I was a CEO at another insurance company. I'm not starting an insurance company that will pay me less than at a CEO level. So even the funds that investors were willing to give him, they paid at that level. But I know people are listening and they're wondering, I'm not a CEO, I can't start at that level. So here's how you transfer that thinking. So the thinking was, I am working. This work I am doing, if I was doing it, let's say for a company somewhere, I would not do it for free. It has value. Calling clients, it has value. Cleaning the office has value. Doing the books has value. Writing recipes has value. Putting in place processes has value.
Yeah.
So even if the business cannot pay you yet, right now, that is work that has value. And what you're doing, I think we called it, you mentioned it another time, it's that idea of sweat equity. You know, when people talk about sweat equity, you've been working on this thing, and that work has value. You know, when I noticed that people don't value Sheke, I've finally got a chance to be watching, you know, this thing, what is it called? Lion's Den on TV. I could never watch it when it was on TV. I didn't have the time. But you see somebody valuing their company, then they ask, what is the equity in your company? And they simply look, how many machines have I bought? What's the value of the, you know, the equipment or stock that we have? That is the value of the company. They never put themselves as the work they have done into as value in the business. Hey, if you started up, you are valuable. You came up with an idea, you came up with a process, you came up with a plan, and that is work. That work it should be valued, and at some point the business will pay you for that work.
Oh, wow. And I'm coming back to that. I just want to say thank you for everybody who's commenting and you've tuned in. And please remember, I forgot to mention this at the beginning. Please write your questions down. Welcome to also the guys who are on YouTube, the ones who are on Twitter, the ones who are on Facebook, on all the platforms. Welcome. But wow. I wish Waithaka somebody taught me. I think I would have, even this value translation, I would have done so much sooner. Because sometimes we are running around. This is now the side hustle trap. You're running around a lot of time, even if it's what you call a side hustle, it's something that's running alongside another job or another business. Yeah. You're still putting in time. You're still putting in sometimes money. You're still using your networks to make this business run. You're still using your phone. You're maybe transporting yourself with public transport and paying that. Or even if you're using a car, you're still that. But because you've thought of it as a side gig, you never actually see where it could go. Because when you start thinking about value, it may even be, you're not going to be the person running it, somebody else can run it. And I made such a big mistake with my first business when I realized I don't want to run that business anymore. And guys, if you're out there, you've run a business and you're feeling you're done with the business, or you want to transition to the business, do you know there's somebody who, if you sold them that business so that they don't have to start up all over again, they would pay something for it. So I had built this stockbroking business. It had a client base, a huge client base, which I had spent my time and my networks getting. It had systems, it had structures. I'd even built a portfolio software for it so that we could trade shares with clients. But the day Waithaka, imagine the day it came when I was like, I don't run this business anymore. I'm tired. The stock market is down. So I convinced myself. But now when I look back, I don't think I could have, I've gone through far worse in Centonomy than I ever did in that business, okay? So I think I had just gotten to the point when I realized that this can happen in a business. That's not for me. I just closed it. As in, I shut the door, I sent everybody home. I told the clients, goodbye, you're on your own. But imagine, I know. So had I actually understood it has value, now what I did is, I felt now once I've pulled myself out of it, the business has no value. The business cannot run. Later, actually, one of my employees asked me, I wish you had left the business to me. I would have run it. And I was like, I just did not think like that. It could even have been a business that as me, I go up do a Centonomy, I remain as a minority shareholder. I just get a dividend. I just get a dividend every year.
You know, we see it every day in the news, this idea of value, especially even in a business, but we don't recognize it. You know, all these Forbes lists of wealthiest people in the world. What people don't realize, when you hear a guy like Jeff Bezos has $120 billion, he doesn't have 120 billion cash. He owns a business, and the value of the shares he owns in that business are worth 120 billion. He has built the value into that business, and it's worth it. We don't seem to, value the business that we're working on. Sheke, can I give you an example from somebody we're talking to? So you know this, and I know we are against this whole thing of importing and selling, but it's the example that we have. Let's build stuff here.
Yes.
So this guy was saying, I import, and it was like a gadget that he was selling somewhere down, River Road, that side.
Yes, yes.
So I import this item from, I think it was Indonesia. I import it at about 2,000 a piece. And here in the market here you'll find is 2,500. So he was saying, if I sell it at 2,500, I've made a profit. Okay. So when I talked to him, I said, okay, good. That's just the cost of the item. But you called them, you set up the deal with the guys in Indonesia.
Yes.
You're the one who went through the whole import business at the port. You dealt with the government, you paid the taxes, you drove them to this place, your shop on River Road, you put up a sign, you did all this work around that. So when you're selling that item at 2,000, is that really 2,500? Is that really how much it is worth? Because he was not accounting for his work, even in the sale price of his goods.
Wow.
Can you imagine that? And sometimes we don't do that. So then we wonder, how do other businesses sell at a higher price? It's because they have understood that element of value, like what you're talking about. So one of the issues for entrepreneurs, we don't often value ourselves, our time, our effort, even our money that we have invested.
I learned that lesson, value. Even me, when I started doing financial planning for people, there's a time I quoted about 1,500 to help someone with their financial planning. But this is the thing, they were in industrial area. And I don't, if you're not Kenyan, I mean, the difference between Westlands, where I was working from, an industrial area and in traffic is, first of all, 2 hours and their fuel. So they got there, I did the work for them and they paid me 1,500. That is when it hit me that all that 1,500 has done at best is my fuel. At best. Am I working for fuel? How many of these will I have to do? I mean, I would have to have been going to meet 100 people in industrial area, do 1,500 at the same time. And to be quite honest, these are the kind of challenges that started sparking. How else can the business model work? Can I go and meet 10 people at one go? And if you've been for Centonomy, you now know how we run our classes.
That's right.
Apart from the fact that it had more impact with the new model, it was also a realization, 1,500. No. But you're right, Waithaka, we don't cost, and people have been running businesses like this for many, many years. We had people in class, it's a 10-year business and all it's done is pay employees. It has paid rent, it has paid suppliers, but it has not paid them.
So Sheke, you said you started this by saying the trap of side hustle. So here's how you get trapped. A side hustle means I have a main source of income. And then I'm kind of developing here. So what happens is that main source of income keeps funding that side hustle. It never gets the opportunity to grow itself. So I'm wondering, why isn't this business developing? Why isn't it going up? Why isn't it taking a life of its own? Because I'm still funding it through my salary or through this other source of income. Maybe it's a relative, if for me, for some time, my wife was funding me because she was the one with the salary. And sometimes when the business was not moving, I would borrow. You put some money in there. So you're wondering, why isn't this thing kicking up? Because it has another source of income. So that's exactly what you're talking about there. That's the trap of a side hustle. It's never let to flourish.
Fly by itself.
There you go.
And I think the decision, not for everybody, I think for that is at some point, especially people who are doing this part of, like I started off like that, where I had my main source of income, my job, and I started my stockbroking business as a side hustle, as a business on the side. But there's got to be that point for some of you, and I know some of you are at that point, but I know the fear is immense around this, where you will have to understand that for it to grow, you're going to have to let go of your main source of income and actually focus on that. And this is another trap. People think that I'll only let go. But then I'm all for proof of concept. So I'm not saying, oh, you have an idea today, quit your job today. No, I'm all for go out and test it, go and talk to customers, go do the necessary work till you're at a place where actually I have enough to I've tested it enough. And I know if I just give this the time, it will grow.
Yeah.
But never wait. This is another side hustle trap. You're always waiting magically. Let's say you earn 100,000 shillings.
Yeah.
You're waiting for your side hustle to first make you 100,000 shillings. And then that's when you'll give yourself permission to actually go. And then you're not even putting in the structures for the business to make you 100,000 shillings because you're running like your friend who's like not pricing correctly.
Yeah.
So Waithaka, so I just want to, just go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, did you see the comment there that has come through from Sally? Because Sally is saying, yes, it is a delicate balance between opportunity, valuing your product or service, and remaining competitive. That's 100% right. And that is the skill set of running a business, is finding that balance. But the problem is, like, to respond to Sally, if you don't account for your value, the work that you do, then there is already an imbalance in your pricing strategy, in your going to market strategy. That's what I wanted to mention, if you don't mind.
And I just want to even add on to Sally, like even just using my example, some of those things are what makes you think about what is the business infrastructure I need. You're right, at a certain price point, you have kicked yourself out of the game because you're too expensive. But the thinking is with that, like mine was a service company, so it's all about time. How do I make a better return on time, for lack of a better word? Going and seeing one person not working. Can I put 10 people in a room? Then I'm not becoming so, because if I just valued based on that one person, then I'd be charging them like 30,000 shillings, 40,000 shillings, which is they can't afford, for one session. So what it also starts to ask you, what is the business model towards this? Once you put in your cost, and your cost does not have to be what you are earning. Don't worry, back to your CEO story about Peter. It's not, I'm a CEO, I must earn $1 million. No, it is that, And I think for me, what I've always started, when it hit me after that fuel, I feel that fuel experience like it's today. I was so mortified about it. It started with 10,000 shillings. For those of you who are not in Kenya, that's about $100 per month. Right. Then you move it. And then you move it. And then you move it till it gets to a reasonable level. And just like what Waithaka was saying, it's even the times I cannot pay it, I account for it. So that the times when the business can pay, I also get paid. Yeah.
I mean,
so Waithaka, I wanted to turn this back, bring it back to the money conversation. And because I think even as you've been talking to people, there's how does my business actually make money? We run businesses and we assume we know how a business actually makes money. So as you're giving this example of it's 2,000, it's 2,500. We have, I've noticed when I'm teaching people, we don't know, and this is side hustle because it's not part of your life. You get away with thinking revenue is profit. If I sell a chair for 1,000 bob, it does not mean I have made 1,000 bob. And people are always like, what did you make? 1,000 bob. I also get this when sometimes we go pitch for training work and they're like, oh, you're gonna make so much money. I'm like, it's not me. It's not money going to my pocket. It's not me. I'm not the one. So you can see there's completely lack of understanding about what is the financial ecosystem of a business. And guys, if you're out there and this has been something you struggle with, even when you're thinking about that business you're running on the side, maybe you don't make money because, first of all, and I think we'll come back to this, your money is all in one place, personal, business, all together, same Mpesa account, everything is the same. So you cannot differentiate between your money and the business money. But if you sold a chair for 1,000 bob, it means
Yeah.
there was a fundi, a carpenter who fixed it. It means you bought raw materials. It means you called the client, you transported the client. So when you remove all
paid
those,
rent,
you paid rent,
you paid electricity, you drove.
So maybe you only made 200 bob. And what we're saying here, you should have put your time as a cost. So maybe you are making a loss. And I think a lot of businesses are out there. Side hustle trap is also, you don't make money because you're not conscious about making money. Yeah. You're conscious about cash flow. Cash is coming in, out, in, out, in, out. But that's not what making money is.
You see, Sheke, in fact, I want to rephrase it.
Yeah.
Because I want to talk to that person who's thinking about starting a business. I wish someone talked to me like this.
Yes.
It's not even how a business makes money. I think we understand. I think, even in primary school, we used to do business education where we learn here is if this is a pen, good. What was the cost of the raw material, the cost of labor, all those things. We put it in there and we sell. Then we say, if I sell this at a higher cost, a higher price, then the direct costs, that is your labor, the raw materials, everything that went into it, then I have made a profit.
Yeah.
So here's how I've been thinking about it.
Yeah.
How do I make money as an entrepreneur from my business? When I change the conversation to how does the business make money to how do I make money, it begins to shift. Because if once I sell this pen for what we are calling a profit, in business you'd call it a gross profit, and I take all that money, the gross profit, there's no value being transferred to the business. And I have not made the business, given it the potential to grow.
Yeah.
So when we talk about, I love that you said it here so clearly, Waceke.
Yeah.
When I begin to think of myself as a cost to my business, that begins to shift my thinking. I'm giving my business the assignment of fee for my time. So that now begins to say, okay, in order for this business to pay me, I can't just make one pen. I need to make 3 or 4 or 5 or 100 in order for this business now to become significantly, to be a sustainable business. Here's the wonderful thing that people now need to understand about entrepreneurs. So I make money. If the business pays, I become a cost.
Yes.
And that cost is called a salary. Watch this. As an employee, you are employee, Sheke. I only make money that way. But you make money as an employee, good.
Yes.
When the business declares a profit at the end of the year, we paid all the costs. As a director shareholder, you come back again and say, a part of that profit called a dividend is mine.
Yeah.
So you've eaten twice.
Yeah.
Here's the third time, Sheke. We are building this business. At some point, God willing, someone will say, I want a piece of that business.
Yes.
Because it is running, because it is sustainable, because the functions are working well, and there's no one coming to just take money out of it whenever they feel like. They're willing to put their money in.
Yeah.
When you sell a part of this business, this is why entrepreneurs are the wealthiest people in the world. When they understand the game.
Yeah.
But if I never started off by saying, how does this business now start to look after number one? If I never get that, so entrepreneurs, change the thinking. Not just to how does a business, that. How does a business make money? How does this business make money?
Money. Yeah.
That's the game changer.
Before I go to Jimmy's statement, I'm just going to put myself in the shoes of many people who have challenged just like you're challenging Waithaka, and they say, what? when it has grown, I'll pay myself. Yeah. So it's almost like we feel so guilty about paying ourselves, and we always have this ad hoc later when the business has grown. But to everyone, just as Waithaka has, he's just opened the friends. He told everybody how even me, I make money from the business. But it's important because I earn a salary from the business. Why do I earn a salary from the business? Look, this is time. What I'm doing here today is time. Yeah. I'm teaching, it's time. I'm mentoring people, it's time. I'm working on strategy, it's time. There's still a value I'm giving the business.
Yes.
Yeah. So as long as you are doing that, yeah, you should be earning a salary from the business. Why do we say salary? Because when we live with ad hoc, you also start earning money in an ad hoc way. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs who I'm talking to, you pay yourself, but you just pay yourself illegally. In bigger companies, it would be known as fraud, yeah, or theft. We go because we've mixed all our finances together. Our business money and our personal money are together, so we don't separate. So that way we fool ourselves into thinking we don't pay ourselves, but actually we pay ourselves, but in a very disorderly way. Then you go with the checkbook to the supermarket, you spend. You go with the same money people pay you, especially if you're in Kenya. Mpesa is a good friend of ours, but a good enemy as well. You go with it to go and meet your friends after work, and you use the Mpesa that your customer sent you to pay. The school calls you and you need textbooks for your son, you use the same phone and you pay. So everything is mixed. If you were audited, and take this from somebody who has been audited, the tax authority in whichever country you are will consider that as payment made to yourself. Then they'll backdate it and say, oh, you should have paid tax. This is now the fine that you actually owe the business. Yeah. So what Waithaka is bringing about, it is so important. Just pay yourself in an orderly way. And then at the end of the year, the business is in profit, you can take a bigger chunk at that time. Yeah. But at least your day to day, because I also think about it this way. If you are hungry, how does that business work? If you've been kicked out of your house, how does that business work?
How?
If your kids are being kicked out of school, how does that business work? It can't. Yeah. So even as we go along, keep money even in an emergency fund for yourself as the entrepreneur, so that there's food on the table as you continue doing this.
Waceke, can I show you something that I've been thinking about? I want to draw something here. Please excuse my terrible drawing skills. I'm using my fingers on the thing. But it's something that I've been thinking about. Hopefully people can understand. So let's look at it like this. This is something that people might be familiar with. That is one. And then this way, another one, right?
Yeah.
So up here on this side, you'll say this is what? Revenue, yeah?
Yes.
Which is the cash the business is making. Yes. And down on this side, where is it coming? This is time, all right? This is time. So this is what happens from the start of a business. So at the start, you're putting in cash. So the business is not actually making money. You're putting in cash, you're putting in time, you're putting in work, you're
making phone calls with your own money.
Yes. And then you start making a few sales. But even those sales, they still require a bit more, effort to buy. You're buying raw materials, whatever you're doing. Now your sales start picking up. They start picking up. And now you're beginning to bring in some cash flows. But this whole time, where is this money? Because this is money. When you say revenue, this money, this is your money, your time, your effort. Even if it's not cash that the business paid you, it is, you're saying if someone else was to do the work that you are doing, they would have done this. It's that same cash that is taking care of your lifestyle, is what you're driving around. This is all investment as it comes up. Excuse the poor drawing. But hopefully it's going up until finally it reaches this point here. At this point, now, this is the point which people often forget, Waceke.
Yeah.
And this is the one that, break even, where the revenue that is entering the business, the revenue matches the cost of running the business. That is the magical point for any business. Because any money you make after that is what we've all been taught called profit. That's now when we begin to get into the profit space. But what people forget, and popularly, this is called the valley of death.
Yes, it is.
In business. But I love it because, see, we are people of faith, Sheke. Yea, though we
Yes.
walk through the valley of the
The
shadow
shadow of
of
death.
death, yes, we shall fear no evil.
Not.
This, you have to be people of faith, because after that, that is the growth pattern that you're looking for. This is what you're hoping to achieve. And any business that can get to this point, but this point cannot be achieved without the work that you're doing being accounted for. That's what I wanted to.
Oh, that's good. That part where that showed is also called, when investors look at your business, they also call it as proof of concept.
Yeah.
That is the time you're working to prove your concept. A lot of businesses talk about capital. That is the time, if anybody has given you capital, they're your friends, they're your family, and they're fools. Yeah, because that is the time it's taking the biggest risk. That's why investors don't come in most of the time at that point. They're coming when you've crossed over. So when you've said, I'm making money in my business, it's when the revenue and the expenses, in fact, the revenue is greater than the expenses. But revenue is equal to expenses, breaking even. Yeah, good point. And breaking even includes your cost. You can't, if you're not paying yourself a salary, your business is not yet breaking even.
No.
Then you've got, after that, that's when you're in profit. So Waithaka, let's take a couple of questions. I can see people coming in, people are really loving this conversation. So Jimmy, let me start with you. He had some ideas. His friend has just told him to concentrate on his business. To concentrate. And I think we have, this is we're starting a business, another side hustle trap. Because it's a side hustle, you see many side hustle opportunities. I can bake, I can do catering, I can also do construction, I can do this, I can do that, because all the opportunities are so many. And I think this is one of the traps people have gotten into by, remember we've said it's you value. Where are you going to concentrate on building value? It's later you can do it when you have the resources to do multiplication. But in the beginning, it's best to concentrate. It's my friend Esther Mushemi, who has also written a fantastic book, God Give Me My Mountain, said, before you start climbing the ladder, figure out which wall is the ladder leaning on. Let me use a quote from her book.
Yes.
So that could be that one business first. Figure out what ladder the wall is leaning on. Is the wall strong enough? Once you're there, then climb the ladder. Then you can start thinking about what other business ideas. But Waithaka, I don't know if you've seen this in our class. People think a different product is a different business.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
Yes, so people think you build many companies, but it could have been one business using one resource. Yeah,
that's it. But again, Sheke, it's the idea that you've not understood the rules of the game. Yeah. When you hear something called a holding company, that's because it's one company that's doing many different things, many different products, many different services, and they've understood the game. So that instead of having to take out resources to pay license fee again, business registration, all those things, you can use the same company to do multiple things.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, you're right. It's just amazing.
Yeah. So my answer to Jimmy, you're right. So my answer to Jimmy is that just first build that wall, make it solid, and then from there you can see where you want to spin off. But a new product is not necessarily a new business. A new business. I mean, we started off personal finance and became entrepreneurship. Then we became Teens Bootcamp. We became Career Hub. Became Centonomy Campus Edition. But it's still one company. It's still one business using the same resources. Of course, people have grown and the team has grown, but it's still fundamentally one business with one mission, with one purpose. And also you find for most successful businesses, their products are talking to each other. So it's not I'm doing personal finance and then I'm doing farming. Yeah, it's products that because farming is a completely different infrastructure than personal finance training.
That's right.
So it's talking to each other.
Even forgot the most relevant for this talk that we're having today. We started publishing your wonderful book, Making Sense.
Yes.
And I mean that's a massive shift. It's not a service. Now we've gotten into products as well.
Yes.
So that's how we begin to think.
But I think that's why we are saying don't get stuck in the side hustle trap. It could be small, it could be one product, but it can spin off. Yeah. So this was also just, and someone is asking me, and I'll relate this: how did you pitch to your first customer? So I think that question is it's not so much how did you pitch to your first customer, it's how do you build the visibility and the awareness for what you do. So for me, it wasn't so much about focusing on one customer, but let me tell you about the first customer. I didn't go to pitch, I went to solve a problem. So it was not, oh, here's a pitch, here's my PowerPoint presentation, here's a big document explaining what I'll do. It's talking from the shoes of the customer. And that's why in the Centonomy entrepreneur class, we do a class called design thinking, because a lot of us, the mistakes people make is I'm going to go and tell the customer this, or this is my new business, making these bottles because I like it. I like the business, but it's not about you. It's about what problem is this solving for the customer. Yeah, this water bottle. So even when you're thinking about pitching, when we use the word pitching, it's about us. You want to make a sale. Yeah. But it's not so much about pitching. It's about, I went to offer a service to the customer because they have a problem that I can solve. So when you start thinking about what you do, and even when you're going to sell, not as so much as pitching, but talking through the eyes of the problem that they have, and you can offer that service for them, it becomes, it sounds better to the, no customer wants to be pitched to, they want help with something. But instead of just focusing, once you've done it for a couple of people, for me, because you've asked the question, for me, it became about how do I raise awareness? And that's the hard part, because awareness does not translate into money today. And for me, it was about writing articles. I wrote articles for 10 years, yeah, in the newspaper. People only start, it's only after 5 years, people are like, oh, I read your articles. Those articles are what became a large part of what became the book. Yeah. So I think Waithaka, it's one thing, it's the ability to see one thing unfolds into another. And I think I always use this example. It's like a tree with a branch, with a trunk. When you start, you're just building the trunk. Yeah. But after that, it will form branches. The branches will form fruits, and the tree keeps on growing.
Yeah. There's a question, Sheke, I want to answer if you don't mind.
Yes, if I was going to get, I knew it's for you, by the way. I was going to, I knew it's for you. I know which one. Go ahead. Yeah.
This is Sally. Sally is asking, how much time should you give the side hustle business to get to break even point when you do not know, when do you know, to keep going versus folding and trying something else?
As you answer that, Sally and Virginia's questions are extremely similar.
Okay,
how long should the business start paying you or add value? They are almost similar.
So this is the one thing that frustrates people about business.
Yeah.
Business is both science and art. And that's the beauty. That's why I think I love business, because at heart, I'm not a full scientist and I'm not fully an artist. I'm both. And there's the intersection between science and art. And this is what I mean. The amount of time that you give a business to generate, it is directly related to how much capital you can pump into it. Yeah. And capital is time, money, energy, all those things. And if you have more time, obviously you can, and more money, you can give a business a chance to flourish. Absolutely. You can give the business a chance to get there. But if you don't have the luxury of a lot of capital, you have to set a target, a goal for that business to be able to reach. Because if you don't, I mean, there are businesses that have gone on for years and you're just continuously pumping capital and they never make money. So and this is the artistic side. The artistic side is you decide and say, I'm going to give my business this amount of time. It's worth this amount to me. Even if it has taken 6 months and nothing has come in, I believe in it enough that I'm going to spend on this business a little bit more. I believe it. You see, that's art. And there are some businesses that have gone past the original thought that the entrepreneur had, I thought in 6 months I'm going to make money. It didn't happen. But because of their drive and their passion for that business, they said, let me give it another 6. Let me give it another half a year. And that worked. But you know, those are the people who have the luxury of, well, it's not even a luxury. They are willing to put their money into that.
Yeah.
If you're not willing, there's also the science side. The business cannot continue to just eat.
Yes.
So it is the marriage for both Virginia
and Sally.
It is the marriage between the science and the art. And I want each one of you, those who are thinking about starting a business, don't just start and hope that one day, some point it will make. Set a goal, set a target, and say, this is what I'm aiming for. By this date, I want it to reach this point. Because then it will give you the push. I remember for me, when I was starting my business, I had no idea even what a target was. Just, let's make some movies. I've got some capital, let's make it and we go. And so it took a lot longer to get to that point where it started generating revenue, because it was not something in my mind. So I want everyone to go and say, when I'm starting, good, I want within 6 months this to start generating revenue. So it will push you to do the work to get there. But you know what, Sheke, and this is what I wanted to say to encourage them. Even if in 6 months it hasn't got there and you still believe, here's the art side of business, you can still push a little bit a little bit longer until that works. So it's art and science.
And I also believe, from my example, my goodness, we could go on for another hour and time has run out. Even when it's not working out or you're not hitting the target, there's always something that's telling you you're in the right direction. Something your customer says. I've been in the dark many times and your customer just said, do you know that financial plan? It is the one that has helped me resolve my kids' school fees. And you're like, oh my goodness, even if it's because of that one person push on. I remember our first Centonomy class, we thought nobody was coming, and then one person came and paid, and we're like, even if it's this one person has paid, the show must go on. So as we wind up, I'll get you to answer one more question, but let me take this one about factors to consider when starting a business or when marketing a business. Peter and Derito, it's where I'd said about this, it's a problem you're solving, but let me use Waithaka's analogy of science and art for this as well. It's a problem you're solving meets the resources you have. For sure, there's environmental problems. You could say I'm solving that problem, but what resources do you have for that? Some people do have the resources, and the resources are your skills. Because even me, to start this business, I was in the investment industry for a while. So money, investment discussions were not completely foreign to me. It's a combination of time. And for some people in some businesses, they have the money. So what problem do you feel a calling for, a pull towards, or a conviction about? All those is what we jumble up and call purpose. I mean, passion. But it's more than just feeling good about what you're doing. You feel convicted. I was convicted that people must create wealth. And then what resources do I have? Honestly, time. My first business had failed, so I had loads of time. And I found myself loving the conversations I was having with people. I had a bit of a network to start telling people, hey, I can do financial planning for you. So problem solving meets the resources you have and meets something that you feel purposeful or called to do. I think those three are what to start telling you. Waithaka, how do you settle on one business idea?
You see, this is the art side. Second, because at some point, look, there are various factors. So just because you love it, just because you identify with that business, with that area, does not mean that there's a business opportunity necessarily.
Absolutely, yes.
So if there's a market, there's opportunity, people want to buy, people are willing to pay for it, you love it, good. So that's one criteria. Now maybe you have two items that one you love, one you want to, both of them you love. It's just which one do I land on into the market? You can look at what's the business potential. Maybe one has better potential to gain traction. Maybe there's more market, more opportunities that are there. Or at some point, it's really me. I've seen some people in the class just do literally a chance. You pick one and say, let's start with that.
Let's start with that. Yeah.
Because Sheke, you've seen it over and over again. How many entrepreneurs don't start because they are just thinking,
overthinking.
At some point, if you're torn between three, pick one. Start.
Yeah, start. Which is the one you can do an action immediately.
Yeah.
Just start. Yeah.
Because you learn, and sometimes the starting, immediately you learn, hey, this was not the one.
Exactly.
You get into the next one, or you find, I love this, and it goes.
Yeah.
That's the artistic side of
okay. Oh my goodness. I know, guys, this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you for the questions, for the engagement. And it has just been amazing for myself and Waithaka to have this conversation with you, as it has been for you. So thank you so much for the comments. I think, Waithaka, I was going to ask you for one statement before you go, but I think the one everybody has taken home is business is a science and an art. And for me, I'll just leave you with start, which is the one you can start with. Because I know there are many people who are thinking what business, what research. Was like, what is the best action you can do today? Do it. What's your next best step? Even after this conversation, if you've already been running a business, after this, what's your next best step? If you're starting, what's your next best step? You've been treating your business as a side hustle and in a disorderly way. From now, what's your next best step? And you know, guys, Centonomy, we love our entrepreneurs. And if you need our help, we do have a Centonomy entrepreneur program. We have a lot more coming for you entrepreneurs along the way, but you can get in touch and we can tell you all about the program. You can get the book Making Sense. And as I go, I'll read a quote from the book, which is relevant to what we're talking about. Opportunities keep coming when you are playing the game and not sitting on the benches. So back to what we were saying, do not sit on the bench. Get your feet dirty, get your hands dirty, because something, it may not happen exactly the way you think, but something will always come out because of that. The details of where you can get the book are on screen. You can get them directly from Centonomy by calling that number. You can get them online at Nuria, at Amazon, and at Rafu Books. And you can get them at bookshops in Kenya at the moment, but we're about to enter Uganda, Yaya Center, Africa Book Hub, Prestige Bookshop, and in Nakuru. We are now in Nakuru. You have been asking. We are now in Nakuru at Patmat Bookshop. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again. Waithaka, thank you for an amazing, amazing conversation. Next time we will do it for 3 hours. Yeah. But thank you, everybody who joined us. Thank you to my team behind the scenes, Beth, Tessie, and Charity. Thank you for everyone across all the platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and we will see you next week, Friday. Bye.
God bless.